Hello and welcome to a very special video. Today, I'm going to venture into talking about the Scouring again. Now, I'm not here to yuck your yum or make you feel bad about anything if you like something. I'm here to talk about a very basic concept. Now, I've talked about the Scouring a number of times, and I'd say that I'm pretty much on track record at this point of being fairly accurate. This is just conjecture. I've talked about that I thought the Scouring was going to become the next big move for, of course, the Black Library, because they want to catch that genie in the bottle again. They want to catch that lightning. They want to make another Heresy and have years and years and years of books that they print out and make tons of money on and have a bunch of stuff and work to do. Who wouldn't want that? Especially, well, when you're in a business that's averse to risk. Second, there's another reason that Games Workshop in particular would want the Horus Heresy to turn into the Scouring, or at least be seen as a sub-part of the Horus Heresy. Now I'm going to talk about both of those. So we've all seen bands and all kinds of different performers and heck, even businessmen try to make the epic mistake of trying to recreate the thing that got them famous or got them successful in the first place. Oftentimes, they don't understand what made it successful. And this can be just about anything and anyone. We've all seen one-hit wonders, if it's movies, shows, comics, books, music, whatnot. It's not necessarily a judgment call on it. It's just usually people try often to recreate success because that's how a lot of times we are continuous success. It's just that we usually don't reach the same heights of something that's a fluke, that we don't truly know how it happened. Not all of us are geniuses in that regard. No matter what you feel about Michael Jackson, I think most of us could say that he was an actual musical genius who was able to recreate and continue to be ahead in the field of music making, considering his long track record of success. Now, for Games Workshop, the reason why they would want to do this is, again, they want to make years and years and years and years of content that's relatively safe, that builds on something that they already have. It's the reason why they extensively seem to be carrying the Horus Heresy label on the Scouring, because it's not high enough to stand on its own yet, and I think it's that little bit of concern that it might not get to the same point. But hey, you got to dip your toes into it. But here's the thing. This is where I think the real meat of it is. Because, of course, a company wants to make something that's successful and they make money on it for years and years and years. But Games Workshop is learning lessons from other companies. Now, when I say that, I'm not necessarily putting a judgment call on it because people can see that as good or bad. What I'm saying is, what I think the Scouring really is yeah, it's let's see if we can make some money off it. But I think what it is actually a vault. Now, I say this for a very particular reason. They want to make sure that there is no ground for people to come in and go, no models being made, Games Workshop. You've lost in court before when you tried these arguments. And you're not making a bunch of OG kits. You're not making a bunch of original Space Marine stuff. Well, what's your ground to sue us if you're not making those things? And that's where I think it is. It is a vault for them to shove everything about the original version of Space Marines, remove them from being instrumentally linked to 40K, and try to rebrand them as things from the Scouring, to keep that little bit over there where they can have a small production of it. It can be a offshoot to a larger game, and it sits in their vault in perpetual semi-production. Not massive production. It doesn't need to be massively successful. It just needs to be there to make it where people can't openly and freely make original Space Marines. And of course, so that they can capitalize on it. This is basically what I would call the Disney method, where for a long, long time, if you're not as old as I am, they would take a movie and then they would vault it for a number of years and create a false scarcity so that when they brought it back out, they would be able to go, hey, here's this thing. But they could never be, effectively, it was like something around 5 to 10 years. You wouldn't see anything for it, but it was never long enough that someone could go, oh, well, you're not making that kind of argument, if you understand what I'm saying. It's a business tactic. It's a tactic of going, well, it's our IP and we're not going to do anything with it, but we don't want you doing anything with it. And we don't want people there's investors and so on to tell us to sell it. So what we're doing is we're just going to keep it kind of in this ethereal situation where it's kind of there and it's kind of a thing you can get, but it's really, we're not really going to promote it that much. And that's why I think the Scouring is effectively, it's them looking for another big success. It's for them trying to push out into further and further reaches the old fans. So not only did they push you out into Horus Heresy, now with 3rd edition Horus Heresy, they're trying to push you further away to an even smaller thing because they really don't want you contaminating those larger games with telling people that things used to be better, that there used to be more options, that Games Workshop used to tell you about other kits from other companies. Lord forbid they tell you about multi-part kits and kit bashing. Good God, we don't want that. I mean, have you seen some of their current kits? I mean, they look good in terms of, well, clearly an artist made it, and I mean in a digital CAD because that's how they design it, just in case you don't know. But there's a problem if you have multiple of that unit, because people start going, hey, it's kind of uncanny how literally every one of those guys is in the exact same pose with just tiny little differences. Are they a clone army? Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But I think that really the Scouring, despite if it's good or bad, despite if you're into it or not, is literally just going to be a matter of a crude, cold, clearly not creatively led endeavor that's about, let's recreate the Horus Heresy, just different, and on top of it, let's use it as a way to hold on to these designs so that we never get into a situation like the Chapter House lawsuit where the judge goes, but you don't have a model for the thing. And then Games Workshop goes, dang it, but we thought we should own the copyright to Hellbreds and Pauldrons and the literal iconic weapon from medieval times, the Warhammer. You're talking about a company that wasn't producing things and then threw a giant fit. If you ever lived through that time and weren't aware of why literally everything that didn't have a model suddenly vanished, well, it's the Chapter House lawsuit where they actually got spanked fairly hard in it. They won, but they sure did lose on a lot of things. But that's my opinion on the Scouring. What do you guys think? Do you think it's an actual legitimate creative endeavor where they really are like, well, this is going to be its own thing and stand on its own legs? Or do you think it's just going to be used as something that's like, well, let's see if we can get another Horus Heresy going, and let's see if we can push all this stuff that we don't want in 40K over here so that we can kind of rebrand it as a Scouring thing? Or do you think I'm just wrong? Just let me know in the comment sections. But that's my thoughts. I know it's a little scattered, might not be the most pressing for people, but with the Scouring articles starting to kind of pop up here and there, and the obvious intent that they want to make Scouring books, I kind of thought, well, why don't I do a little bit of last video on this as a kind of, well, here's my thoughts on the Scouring, because I've already talked about some of the elements with the Scouring before from when we didn't know anything about it, and I thought, hey, this would obviously be where they would go, especially around the time they were finishing up the Horus Heresy. This is before I saw any leaks about the Scouring book. And I thought, well, this is clearly where they're going to go. And then, of course, what I thought would happen if there's a revamp of any of the old original Space Marine kits, I think a lot of it will end up in the Scouring. And I think you get some hints from that when you see them doing what they're doing with the Red Corsairs, price aside. But that's my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think, and I hope you have a fantastic week ahead of you. Bye-bye.